I made like 100 today, but was hungry and looking real bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, niggas still make change. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze, and y'all already know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. This is episode 27. But before we get started, I just want to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas. This episode probably won't come out on Christmas, but it'll come out probably the day after or something like that. But regardless of when it come out, I just want to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoy it with your loved ones. Spend time with the family. Everybody get all the gifts that they put on their wish list and everything like that. From the Chatting with Cheeze podcast, Merry Christmas to everyone. So let's jump right into it. On Sunday, we had an NFC East clash where the Commanders came out on top over the Philadelphia Eagles in a nail-biter late 36-33. This was a fantastic game. The Commanders came back to rally back to win the game, basically with being down multiple scores throughout the game. Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal game. He basically put the cape on and turned into the hero for his team. Jalen Hurts went out with a concussion injury early in the game, but all in all, the game was a thriller. I loved I loved the game from beginning to the end. At the beginning, I thought Philly was going to run away with the game, and then Jalen Hurts got injured. Kenny Pickett had to come in and play throughout the remainder of the game, and I think things got a little interesting. But I'm gonna go ahead and run down the stats from the game on Sunday. So Jaden Daniels, who had a phenomenal game, went 24 of 39 with 258 yards. He threw for 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had a 99.1 QB rate. Olamide Zaccheaus had 5 receptions, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was huge for him because if you know, Zaccheaus was a receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles last year. Didn't end up getting re-signed going to Washington this past offseason. Terry McLaurin had 5 receptions for 60 yards, 1 touchdown. De'Ami Brown had 4 receptions for 56 yards. And Jamison Crowder, who's been on, it feel like every team in the NFL these past couple of seasons, he came through and had a huge game and actually made the game-winning catch for the Washington Commanders on Sunday. He had 2 receptions, 15 yards for 2 touchdowns. Not to add, on the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, he was 1 for 4 for 11 yards. But like I stated at the beginning, he left the game early with a concussion, tried to come back in. I think the Eagles staff said, we're not going to risk anything. We the number 2 seed in the NFC. Of course, they trying to battle Detroit for that number 1 seed, but we're not going to risk our starting quarterback and, put him in harm's way by putting him out there. So I think they just went ahead and took the safer route and let Kenny Pickett finish the game. Kenny Pickett went 14 of 24 for 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had a 72 QB rate. Saquon Barkley had a phenomenal game. At the beginning, he's been doing basically what he's been doing all year, just dominating out there. Later on in the game, I think once Jalen Hurts went out, the defense the Commanders' defense kind of honed in on Saquon, so he didn't really get off too much in the second half. But that first half was amazing. He had 150 yards with 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had 8 receptions for 97 yards with 1 touchdown. Him and Marshawn Lattimore was battling all game. That was a matchup I was looking forward to going into the game just because, Washington acquired Marshawn Lattimore at the trade deadline. That battle between him, A.J. Brown, that bona fide number 1 corner versus that stud wide receiver, that was a hell of a matchup. And Devontae Smith had 6 receptions for 51 yards, 0 touchdowns. And we all know at a crucial part of the game, Devontae Smith had a crucial drop that actually could have sealed the deal for Philly. We know Devontae Smith is sure-handed for the most part, and normally he catches a lot of those passes, especially one like that was wide open. But things happen. He dropped it. I'm not really going to hold too much of that against them because, like I said, Philly had a double-digit score on Washington for most of the game. So I'm not going to dwindle it all down to one play. But I think more so. Oh, and not to mention, Philly also had 5 turnovers. So let me read you a stat. That I looked up before, knowing I was going to talk about this. So it says entering Sunday, teams that allowed 30 points and committed 5 turnovers was 1 in 158 since 2003. Before the game, Philly was 32-0 since 1960 when scoring 30 plus points and forcing 5 or more takeaways. So that's my whole thing. I've been reading and looking lately. A lot of people want to blame it on, oh well, if Jalen Hurts would have stayed in, or if Jalen Hurts would have never got concussed or whatever, Philly would have had a better chance to win it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't look at it like that. And to me, all you Philly fans, y'all gotta hold that L, because Jalen Hurts doesn't play defense. That's the number 1 defense out there. You guys got 5 turnovers. Brian Robinson fumbled the football 2 times in Eagles territory. Jaden Daniels threw 2 interceptions. So I think just for the Eagles, your defense, when your quarterback is down and you playing with a backup, your defense got to be the one that hold everything together. This is the number 1 defense. And for a long time, especially at the beginning of the season, I was saying that the main problem in Philly was the defense. They switched everything around. You know what I'm saying? They turned it around. Vic Fangio got everything together. And this defense has been riding high for, for these last couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately being the number 1 defense in the NFL. Now, C.J. Gardner-Johnson did get ejected from the game, but I still don't think that made a huge enough difference for, what ended up happening. I think if I had to pinpoint the reason why Philly ultimately lost this game, yes, I do think the Devontae Smith drop was a crucial part, but I think the defense just let you down. The defense just let you down. Regardless of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you still got Jalen Carter out there. You still got Darius Slay. You still got Cooper DeJean, the rookie who's been having a great year. You still got Mitchell, the rookie, the other corner, who did give up a touchdown to Terry McLaurin, but he's been having a phenomenal season. So I mean, to me personally, I just think the defense dropped the ball in this game. Because you forced 5 turnovers, you should win that game, in my opinion. And you was up double-digit scores throughout most part of the game. But I think more so than anything, this game, more so than being about Philly, I just think this game came down to the greatness of Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has been having a phenomenal year this year. This furthermore proves my point that Washington nailed the draft with that number 2 overall pick. And I think he solidified his Rookie of the Year campaign. Jaden Daniels has just been having a phenomenal season. If you watch him, the way that he's transformed this entire franchise, just the confidence. I'm going to be honest, I'm not even a Commanders fan. And on that final drive, I knew that they were going to go down and score. Just the confidence he exudes, and you never see him panicking. You never see him, trying to do too much. And it's like I don't feel like Washington has felt this from the quarterback position in a very, very long time. Jaden Daniels truly put the cape on Sunday and willed this team to this victory. That throw to Terry McLaurin, that touchdown, I think it made it 14-21 if I'm not mistaken. But he dropped back and threw a deep ball to Terry McLaurin in the corner of the end zone at the pylon. That's probably one of the best deep ball throws, accuracy in the bucket throws I've ever seen. And mind you, this is a rookie. This is a rookie doing this. I think you got to just appreciate, if you're a Washington fan, even if you're not a Washington fan, you just got to appreciate what you are seeing from this young man and just the poise and just what he's done for this franchise. I mean, for you to go out there and have this type of game, and also not to mention he rushed for 81 yards. But these are a couple things that I jotted down. Jaden Daniels on Sunday became the first rookie quarterback in franchise history and 7th in NFL history to throw 5 touchdown passes in the game. Daniels has led Washington to their first 10-win season since 2012, with this also being the first time they've recorded 10 wins through the first 15 games since 1991. He also became the second player in NFL history with 250-plus passing yards, 75-plus rushing yards, and 5 passing touchdowns in the game, joining Cam Newton, who did that in 2015. I don't think a lot of you guys realize how special that is for a rookie to do this. On top, you're going against the number 1 defense. You're going against the number 1 defense. Let's just be all the way honest. Washington is going to make the playoffs, but let's be real. If you took Jaden Daniels out of this, just take Jaden Daniels out of this offense and put another quarterback like they had, like, Taylor Heineke or something. Let's be real. This team probably wouldn't have won 5-6 games with this team. If you swap out the quarterbacks, that's how special Jaden Daniels has been for this team this year. And just to be able to sit there and watch him and just to see, like I said, he never seems rattled. He never seemed like he's overcompensating. The franchise has all the trust in him in the world. Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Quinn, they have all the trust in him. And if you watched them this year, Washington never feels like they're out of a game with him as their quarterback. And I think that's the hope and what you get when you have a good quarterback, when you have a franchise quarterback. They totally nailed it. And I think regardless of how things end for them this year, I think moving forward, heading into next year and seasons past, I think they can sit back and be comfortable knowing as long as we got this guy, we just build around him. Washington, to me, has legit opened up a championship window. Say whatever you want. They have legit opened up a championship window, and it's all because of what number 5 is doing for them. I mean, it's just amazing. That last drive, just the simple fact knowing that, okay, I know I can run, but let me go ahead and dump it down here. Let me just make the smart plays. And that pass to Jamison Crowder in the back of the end zone, that's a dot. That's a dot. The ball couldn't have been placed any more better than it was. Crowder was a little bit open. Defense kind of got confused, the linebacker, but still, just the ball placement, just everything. And I mean, for Olamide Zaccheaus to have a game like this against your former team, he gave you 2 touchdowns. And like I said, Jamison Crowder, come on now, who I guarantee you cannot find a single slip or anything out here that would have had you think Jamison Crowder would go out there and score 2 touchdowns. It was just a fun thing to watch. And all the Eagles fans saying, "Well, if Jalen Hurts would," I can't give y'all that. I'm sorry. I understand, but Kenny Pickett came in that game and threw a touchdown. You guys were up 21-7. You got 5 turnovers. 5. Mind you, Brian Robinson fumbled the ball twice in Eagles territory. You know what I'm saying? And for you to go out there, and I think it was just all on the back of Jaden Daniels. But I just can't give you, if Jalen Hurts, that's all I've been hearing. But I can't give you that because I felt like Kenny Pickett came in there and did enough to where, you know what I'm saying, you guys could have secured the game. You have the number 1 defense in the NFL. Your defense couldn't do what needed to be done to carry you to that victory. I just think this was more so about the game, the play of Jaden Daniels more than anything. And I know a few episodes ago I had to talk about who would be the rookie of the year. And don't get me wrong, Bo Nix has been having an outstanding season in Denver. I take nothing from him. Maybe in the long haul, he'll end up being better or whatever debate you guys want to have. But when we talking right now in current time, Jaden Daniels is is gonna win Rookie of the Year, and he deserves it. And also, I'm not afraid. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Jaden Daniels is currently one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, hands down. I think, and this is coming from me, a Cowboys fan, and I think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC East. That's just how I feel. I mean, when you watch him, he looks like he's been playing. He looks like he's been playing in the league for 6-7 years. You know what I'm saying? This is just year 1. So I'm happy for all my Washington fans. I know I talk trash or whatever the case may be, but to finally see that you guys have a franchise quarterback, this is something to build off. And I'm going to be honest, I think any team that winds up having to see Washington in the playoffs, I think you're going to be a little nervous. You're going to be a little scared because right now they will be matched up against Philly. Now, I don't know, You know, we got 2 more weeks left in the regular season. Things could change and move around. But right now, they are slated to play Philly. And I'm going to be honest, if I'm Philly, them just winning this game on Sunday gives them confidence to say, you know what, if we do what we need to do, think about it. We turned the ball over 5 times and still was able to score 30 plus points. So their mindset is going to be, if we play them, if we have to run into them in the playoffs in Philly, if we cut the turnovers down, then you know what I'm saying, maybe we can have a shot to actually go up there and shock Philly and win that game. I'm just saying. That's my opinion, because you give them confidence. All it takes is a little bit of confidence to know, okay, this is what we can do moving forward. And you know what I'm saying? I liked it, but it was a hell of a game. I think, like I said, I don't think, even though Philly lost, and I know a couple of people are upset, but I don't think this really changes anything for Philly. The defense, I think the defense is the main reason why you guys lost the game, but I think the defense will tighten it back up. You'll get Jalen Hurts back, and I still think Philly will probably end up either in the NFC Championship game or possibly the Super Bowl. But I just wanted to recap on Sunday because that was a hell of a game. To me, that was the best game of the day. So I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that. Moving on. So on Saturday, this past Saturday, we had our first official experience of the 12-game college football playoff. It was round 1. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the scores out there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give my opinion on what I thought about it. So, on round 1 of the college football playoffs, you had Notre Dame beating the Indiana Hoosiers 27-17. You had the Texas Longhorns beat the Clemson Tigers 38-24. You had SMU. Score 10 versus Penn State. It was 38-10, and Ohio State 42 to Tennessee 17. Now I know a lot of people, and I've been listening, and a lot of people saying, well, you know, this is why certain teams shouldn't have made it to the playoff, and this is what we were trying to avoid, and blah blah blah. I've been hearing it all, and granted, on my last episode, and I dropped it short, I had a rant about saying that I felt like Alabama shouldn't have made the playoff. And I had some people agree with me and some people comment and say, well, we going to have to sit back and watch SMU, Arizona State, Boise State get blown out, blah, 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 all that. After watching Saturday, my thoughts still haven't changed. I still don't believe Alabama should have made the college football playoff. Don't get me wrong. Was it boring? Was it a little bit, you know, was it crazy to see every team get basically blown out on Saturday? Yeah. But my train of thinking is the better teams did what they were supposed to do. You go out there, you stomp down on a lesser competition, and you move on to the next round. I just don't understand how people try to use this to parlay, oh, well, Alabama should have got in, or South Carolina should have got in. I agree South Carolina should have probably had some thought of, you know what I'm saying, getting in. But I just don't understand. I mean, regardless of what happened, I don't feel like Saturday made it any different of the best team should have made it. Regardless of SMU getting blown out, regardless of all these teams getting blown out on Saturday, that doesn't mean that they didn't have the right to make it to the college football playoff. Because like I stated before, when we were presented the college football playoff, we were told that the 12 best teams in college football are gonna make the playoff, regardless of what. So the argument that you guys are trying to make, I just don't understand, because it's either you want the 12 best teams or you don't. You can't say on one hand we want things to be fair and we think, you know what I'm saying, the committee is showing favoritism, blase, blase, but then on the other hand, when the teams get blown out and everything like that, oh, well, they shouldn't have never made it in the first place. No, they should have made it. They just are playing a superior team. Nobody thought SMU was going to beat Penn State. Let's just be honest. Whether they got blown out or not, nobody thought SMU would beat Penn State. Nobody thought Indiana would beat Notre Dame. Nobody thought, you know what I'm saying? Now the one game that really shocked me, the biggest blow, was Ohio State and Tennessee. I expected that to be kind of like a dogfight, but Ohio State went in there with purpose and they punished them. But other than that, I mean, I just don't understand. It's like people, this is what we should do. Since everybody want to complain and talk about the strength of schedule, how about from this year moving on, they just do only SEC and Big Ten teams can make the college football playoff? Because that's basically what y'all saying. That's basically what y'all saying, is that only the biggest schools with the biggest NILs and all that, those are the only teams that should be eligible to make the playoffs. I don't get it. Like, okay, yes, SMU got blown out. Yes, Clemson got blown. Every team, every lower team on Saturday got blown out. But that doesn't mean that they didn't deserve to be there. And who's to say if Alabama make it, they don't get blown out? We watched Alabama go to Oklahoma, one of the worst teams in the SEC, and only scored 3 points. We watch Alabama lose to Vanderbilt. So who's to say, let's say you replace SMU with Alabama, who's to say Alabama don't get blown out? But you guys are just so used to it being a certain way, or getting it the way, or you know what I'm saying, having things go your way. You don't want to see. Come on, bro. If that's the case, if we looking at it like that, then let's just make it a SEC, Big Ten, college football playoff and leave it at that. No matter what the record is. I just don't get it. Now, granted, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there, and this is and now this is one thing I do give y'all. SMU, that quarterback, Kevin Jennings, that was one of the worst quarterback games I've ever probably seen in my life. Not even in college, just in my life, period. I mean, like, bro, like, seriously, I don't know if it was the nerves or I don't know what it was, but that was one of the worst games for a quarterback I've ever seen. Like, bro, you're literally throwing it. Like, I'm watching the whole game and I'm sitting there looking. You're literally throwing it right to the defense. And I understand that Penn State has one of the best defenses in college football, but bro, you're throwing it like literally right to the defenders. All your passes are behind the receivers, or they gotta do like I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe it was nerves. Maybe the stage was too big. I know Penn State has one of the best crowds in college football, but bro, I mean, that was awful. And if you ask me personally, I don't feel like Penn State offense was amazing. I just feel like he was going out there. He was so terrible. He was playing for Penn State. You throw 2 pick sixes, and that basically, after that, the doors just got blew off SMU after that. I don't feel like SMU defense was out there getting torched or nothing like that. I just feel like the quarterback was playing so terrible that, you know what I'm saying, they probably just lost hope. They like, man, he's out there literally throwing the ball right to the defenders. Then they get down. Then when they do get in the red zone, you having false starts. You know what I'm saying? The center, the center not on the same cue with the. It was awful. It was awful. But at the end of the day, regardless of what happened, I don't feel like that should take away the fact that SMU deserved to be there. I don't feel that way. And people may comment and say I'm wrong. They don't. I just don't. Me personally, I don't feel that way. SMU won the games that they were supposed to win. Went to the ACC championship game. They ended up losing. They was getting dominated by Clemson. They ended up coming back and tying the game up. And Clemson went down and had to make a field goal. But I just felt like SMU they deserved to be there. And I mean, I know a lot of people may not agree with it. So if you don't agree with it, then write a letter to the committee or do whatever y'all want to do. But let's just, since every year, because this is going to be a problem every year. Regardless of who makes it, it's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to be upset about something. So I think they should just make it, you know what I'm saying? If people just going to keep complaining, because technically what y'all saying is y'all just want to see all the SEC teams and the Big Ten teams. Because, I mean, those are basically, to me, the 2 top conferences. So if that's the case, let's just do it like that. If we're going to be complaining about lower teams, you know what I'm saying, going undefeated or whatever, or winning their conference and making it, I'm not upset at all about round 1. Was it boring? Yeah, it was boring. But like I said on my last episode, I would rather watch a team that deserves to make it get blown out rather than watch a team just because off your name and who you are get handed a college football playoff spot. That would make me not want to watch it. You know what I'm saying? That would make me not want to watch it. I would rather watch SMU get blown out rather than see Alabama, who had 3 losses, and two of the losses were horrible. You know what I'm saying? I would rather watch SMU get blown out than have them just get handed a college football playoff spot. Come on, man. Y'all got to stop that. So right now, what I'm going to do is, so I told y'all, I ran down the scores on the games through round one. So this is what I'm going to do. I said this week, I'm going to give my predictions on the round two matchups. And I'm going to give a little bit of insight on why I think, but these are my round two predictions for the college football playoff. So I took Penn State over Boise State. James Franklin was 5-21 versus top 12 teams at Penn State entering this playoff. I just think, like I said, I like Penn State defense a lot. And I just think that it's going to be a lot of pressure on Boise State. I think with that defense, if they're going to be geared up to stop Ashton Jeanty. I think if you could find a way to stop Ashton Jeanty and force their quarterback to throw, you may have run into the same situation with SMU where they quarterback start making some bad decisions and you get a couple of interceptions or whatever. And I just think the pressure will be too much for Boise State because, it's new for them. It's new for them. So I went Penn State over Boise. I went Texas over Arizona State. The main thing that Texas has to do, they must stop running back Cam Scatterbo. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. That's a grown little man right there. That's a grown man right there. But Texas has one of the best defenses in college football. I think they'll be able to do what it takes and hone in to stop Arizona State's running game. And that's another reason why I just went Texas. I actually think Texas has a chance to make. Texas was one of my picks to actually go to the college, the championship game. So, but I just think that the experience, just Arizona State first time being there, you're gonna have them jitters. Texas have been in big games throughout this year, so I just think the experience and stuff is gonna play a factor. That's why I went with Texas. This to me, I think is gonna be the biggest game of the weekend, and I'm looking forward to this game. This might be a shocker to some people, but I went Ohio State over Oregon. The reason I went Ohio State over Oregon, in the first meeting, the Buckeyes allowed Dylan Gabriel to operate with the clean pocket, no sacks, only 2 QB hurries. He threw for 341 passing yards, several completions downfield, and 2 touchdowns. The reason why, and now I just rambled off them stats that I jotted down on my laptop, but the reason why I went Ohio State over Oregon is because the first time that they met earlier this year, it was only a 32-31 victory, so a 1-point victory. And I just think that if Will Howard can come in with his head on straight, pause, and play the way that he played against Tennessee, get your receivers involved early, I think Ohio State has a good enough offense with Henderson and Junkins in the backfield. I think they have a good enough offense to be able to match the firepower of Oregon. The main question is going to be which defense can pull together some stops. And I believe Ohio State defense can just manage to get a couple of more stops than Oregon. I understand Oregon is the number one team in the country. I get all that. I respect Oregon, but Ohio State, I just like what I see from them wide receivers, Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Ibuka. But if Will Howard can just get them involved early, get them going with that running game, and their defense can muster up some stops, which I believe that this is a $20 million roster. They should be able to get some stops. I think Ohio State has a chance to win this game. Ryan Day needs this game. This is a big game for Ryan Day. The narrative has been put out there that Ryan Day can't win the big game. This is a big game. And honestly, I think if Ohio State can win this game, I honestly think Ohio State can win the whole thing. But this is a big game for Ryan Day in Ohio State. But I went Ohio State over Oregon. I went Georgia over Notre Dame. So breaking news came out that Carson Beck is out for the season. So they're going to go with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback for Georgia. I like the way he looked in the SEC championship game against Texas. He came in there. He seemed very poised. He used his feet, made the right decisions. I think that if he can come in there, kind of game manage it a little bit, make the right decisions. Don't turn the ball over. You hand the ball off to to ETN in the backfield. I think Georgia can hang on and win this game because the defense is going to be the most important thing for Georgia. Georgia defense needs to step up. Georgia defense is ranked 21st in scoring defense, 36 against the run, and 35th total defense. This is not the typical Georgia defense that we're used to seeing. We are used to seeing them lock tight and suffocate teams. You know what I'm saying? And I think this year it hasn't been that, but I think now was the time. If they're going to turn it on, now was the time to turn it on because you about to be going up against some of the best offenses in college football. So now was the time to turn on. And that defense is definitely going to have to step up due to the fact that your starting quarterback is not playing. You're going to have to help that backup. You're going to have to help him by getting some stops, getting some turnovers. Malachi Stark, you know what I'm saying, getting some turnovers, and you going to have to hanker down. Linebackers, I don't even know how to Smeal Mondon Jr. and Jason Walker will need to control Notre Dame's running game, and they'll need to force a couple turnovers. So like I said, the main thing is dominating the line of scrimmage, stopping that run, making a quarterback throw, make a couple of mistakes, and I think Georgia will be able to go ahead and do that and end up not sneaking past. I think they'll beat Notre Dame. So those are my predictions for round 2. Next week we'll come back and see. Well, the game is not until next week, so we got basically a week and a half to, see how my predictions go. But I just wanted to go ahead and speak on that round 1 and give my predictions for round 2 of the college football playoff. So moving on, Sunday night, my Dallas Cowboys, in a shocker, beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-24. The defense looked okay. They made a couple of turnovers. Jordan Lewis with an amazing turnover. Deron Bland stripping White for the game sealing turnover to win the game. CeeDee Lamb had a solid game. Cooper Rush, my bad, I had a brain fart. Cooper Rush had a very solid game. So I had a question that I came up with because they talked about it a lot on the broadcast. My question that I came up with is, has Mike McCarthy done enough to keep his job? So these are Jerry Jones' comments on his weekly radio gig. No, it wasn't weekly radio gig. He actually talked to John Machota. I got these quotes off of X. These were his comments on Mike McCarthy and his state of his job and next year after the game. So Jerry Jones quote, I'm real proud of the team, Jones said, and Mike McCarthy. He just won't let them not think that they're playing for the Super Bowl out there. He won't let them do it. He won't let them do it. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that coach. There's no question that we're fighting with a very limited deck out here. Right now, very limited deck out here right now, and those guys are doing a great job, all of them, the players, but my hat is off to Mike McCarthy. I'm sorry, y'all, reading Jerry Jones quotes is like reading a riddle. And they asked him questions about, next year, going into next year, what did he think basically about Mike McCarthy's job security going into next year. He said, just so we're clear, all I can say is what good of a job he's doing. I don't have thoughts that I would share as to anything about what we do with our days after we're through playing this year. I don't have anything I would share about that. So the Cowboys have won 4 out of their last 5 games. They've beaten 2 playoff teams, which is Washington. They went to Washington and beat the Commanders. And also, they beat the Buccaneers. Right now, if you look, the Buccaneers are not in the playoffs, but that's because of the Cowboys. When the game first started, the Buccaneers was a playoff team. So they beat 2 playoff teams. Rico Dowdle has had 100-plus yards in 3 straight games. And remember, Mike McCarthy was the one that pulled the plug and said, okay, Rico Dowdle is going to be the running back one and get a bulk of the carries. Me personally, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion for a lot of people out there, I think Mike McCarthy has done enough to keep his job, and I don't think Mike McCarthy is really as bad of a coach as a lot of people paint him out to be. Yes, is some of the play calling awful? Absolutely. Is his clock management awful at times? Absolutely. Do he look like out there sometimes he just doesn't know like what to do or what's going on? Absolutely. But I think what plays into it, you got to understand, man, when you have an owner like the Cowboys have and you're put under a microscope the way that Mike McCarthy is, sometimes things can get a little rough. Coming into the season, he was handicapped with Ezekiel Elliott. Jerry Jones wanting Ezekiel Elliott to play. You always have to worry about, you had the contract situation with Dak Prescott not getting resolved until literally hours before our first week 1 game of the regular season game. CeeDee Lamb wasn't in training camp all year, all off season, and didn't come in until a week before the regular game because Jerry decided to, pay him right before the season. Mike McCarthy is handcuffed in a lot of situations, and I got to give him some grace for that. Because regardless of what people say, they flame out in the playoffs or whatever, this man has had 3 12-winning seasons. Any other coach in the NFL, if they had that type of resume, 3 12-winning seasons, they wouldn't be on the hot seat. But Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat, honestly, because the owner is terrible. The owner is terrible, and you can't fire the owner. The owner is the GM of the team, so you can't fire neither one of them. So the next best thing is to do is fire the head coach. I don't care what head coach you bring in. Until Jerry Jones relinquishes the power that he has, this team, nothing won't change. But I think Mike McCarthy has done a great job managing this team the way that he has. I think the players love him. You see the players out there fighting hard for him. Micah Parsons has spoke highly of him. Dak Prescott has spoke highly of him. And I'm going to be honest, as a Cowboy fan, watching this team this year, this has been one of the saddest seasons probably of my life that I've had to sit through and watch. But that game against Tampa Bay this past Sunday night probably was one of the proudest moments of this season. Just to see that team go out there and know that their season is all over. Washington beating Philly, eliminated them from any type of playoff contention. For them to go out there and show that type of fight, that type of grit, man, I'm not going to lie. That was one of the happiest moments for me this year so far this year, because this year has been awful. And I know a lot of people tank for a better draft pick. You can't tell grown men, professional athletes to just go out there and lay down and let the team win. Mike McCarthy, it looked like Mike McCarthy had those guys prepared. They went out there and they did what they were supposed to do. Now, Mike Zimmer, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. The defense to me, since we've been starting to get a little healthier, the defense you can see has turned a corner. So I'm going to be honest, man. Mike Zimmer, I don't know. I'm kind of still on the fence a little bit with Mike Zimmer. He may be retained as well. Micah speaks highly of him too, and he's been kind of handicapped this year with all the injuries and things that we've had on the defensive side. So Mike Zimmer may be retained too, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't know how lengthy the extension should be, but I think Mike McCarthy deserves another shot. I think he deserves that. Even if you extend them for, let's say, 1 year. I don't know how the coaches' contracts work, but I think Mike McCarthy deserves some grace. I think he deserves some grace because to be under the microscope under the microscope that he is with that owner, man, that's a lot of pressure, bro. That's a lot of pressure, and for you to have 12-win seasons, we can't just ignore that. The 12-win seasons. And my question is, if you were to get rid of Mike McCarthy, who do you bring in? Bill Belichick already took the UNC job in college. Deion Sanders is not coming there. Ben Johnson already stated everything that he wants, a list of things that he wants to become a head coach, and that doesn't fit Dallas because as soon as I seen control over anything, I knew it wasn't for Dallas. You do have Mike Vrabel out there, but how interested would he be to come over and be under the thumb of Jerry Jones? So I think Mike McCarthy has handled it well. And if we being honest, under this Mike McCarthy era, the two worst seasons that he's had being here we were riddled with injuries. That first year, remember Doc snapped his leg, and then this year right here we've been riddled with injuries all year. So I mean, it may be unpopular to some, and some may not agree, but I think that Mike McCarthy deserves grace, and I think he deserves to get another shot at being the coach. I don't think Mike McCarthy's as bad as a coach as people make him out to be. But that's just me personally. Comment below, all my Cowboy fans, and let me know how y'all feel. Do y'all think we should rock out with Mike McCarthy and keep him, or should we move on? And last but not least, these are my predictions for week 17. 2 games come on today, so by the time this episode comes out, we already know the results, but I'm going to go ahead and give my predictions anyway. Remember, y'all already know these are my picks. If you choose to place these bets or whatever, that's on you. Don't hit me up saying, oh, Cheeze, you met. None of that. This is on you. This is just what I believe. So, for the Chief, for the game, I'm sorry, rambling. So, my Week 17 predictions, I took the Chiefs over the Steelers. I think the Steelers are kind of starting to flame out a little bit, and it's rare that I go against Patrick Mahomes. So I went Chiefs over Steelers. I went Ravens over the Bengals. Everybody just gonna watch that game to watch Beyonce at halftime anyway. I just think the Texans, they're starting to become riddled with injuries. Tank Dell suffered a very bad injury last Saturday when they played Get Well Soon. Tank. But I think the Ravens will go in. I think the Ravens will handle business and win that game. I took Seahawks over the Bears. I took Chargers over the Patriots. I took Bengals over the Broncos. That's going to be a real good game. That game has playoff has playoff aspirations all around it. The Bengals have to win out to try to make the playoffs. Excuse me. The Bengals have to win out to try to make the playoffs, and the Broncos are trying to hang on to their playoff spot. I'm going to tell you, if the Bengals somehow sneak into the back end of the playoffs, I'm going to be honest, that's a scary sight because if we can be real with this. If the Bengals wasn't as sorry as they was or, playing catch up right now, Joe Burrow would easily be the MVP favorite. And I think it's pretty safe to say Joe Burrow is playing right now like the best quarterback in football. I think it's Josh Allen, but if you look at the numbers Joe Burrow has been putting up some godly numbers. The only reason he's not the front runner for MVP is because the defense is trash and they haven't really had the best season. But I'm gonna be honest, if they make the playoffs, somehow sneak into the back end of the playoffs, that second seed right now, which is Buffalo, that's gonna be scary. That's going to be scary. That's a team right there I would not want to have to see with my playoff life on the line. I took Bengals, but like I said, I took Bengals over the Broncos. I went Rams over Cardinals. I went Eagles over the Cowboys. I think Eagles get their face back. I don't know the status of Jalen Hurts, but Dallas going to Philly. The atmosphere going to be crazy. Saquon trying to break that record. I think Eagles get their face back this week, unfortunately, over my Cowboys. I went Colts over Giants, the battle of the mids. I went Bills over Jets. I went Vikings over Packers. That's going to be a very interesting game, too, because I think they're still battling for, if I'm not mistaken, are the Packers? I think they're still battling for, no, I'm tripping. I don't know if they're battling for the, no, because because I think the Minnesota and Detroit are still battling for the number 1 seed and to win the division. So this game is going to be plenty good. The Packers maybe could go in there and try to pull off the upset, but I went Vikings over Packers. I love how Sam Darnold is playing. We all know Justin Jefferson is playing amazing. Addison is coming on. I like how the Vikings have been looking to go up to Seattle. I watched the entire game. For them to go up to Seattle and duel it out like that, Sam Darnold shows some real toughness. Sam Darnold getting himself paid this offseason. Sam Darnold, back up the Brinks truck because Sam Darnold getting paid. So I went Vikings over Packers. I went Bucks over the Panthers. I went Raiders over the Saints, another mid-off. I went Titans over the Jags. another mid off. I went Dolphins over the Browns. I went Falcons over Commanders. I think the even though I talked all that good stuff with Jaden Daniels in my first segment, I just think the Falcons need that game. I think Penix can get them some new life. But this is an important game for the Falcons. I think right now the Falcons are the weakest link in the playoffs, and they're battling with the Bucks. They was out of the playoffs. Then the Cowboys did them a solid and beat the Bucks, and they swapped. But the Falcons need this game. This is very important for them. I think they go in there, and I think they could pull it out. So I went Falcons over Commanders. And last but not least, I went Lions over 49ers. I think Lions continue their dominance. I think they get that number 1 seed, that bye. They need it with the injuries and stuff that they've been having. And I think that like I said, the Lions are still my Super Bowl pick to come out of the NFC. So those are my predictions for Week 17. That's the end of this episode. Like I stated before to everybody at the beginning, Merry Christmas to everybody. I appreciate all y'all who's been supporting me so far on this podcast journey, and I can promise y'all that things are just gonna get bigger and better as we keep moving forward. I hope all you guys enjoy your holidays. Have a happy holidays. Get everything you guys want on that wish list, and just enjoy your family, and just enjoy being around your loved ones. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Y'all know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. I see y'all.